Greetings everyone, Silver466 from Team One Trick here, and in today's video we want to talk about Jade Druid deck building post-nerfs February 2019. So looking at statistics, we don't have anything to talk about in regards to tier lists since the nerfs occurred a few days ago and many of the major reports have not been released yet. But we can at least talk about some of the matchups. So if we look at the good matchups, if you're in a meta with a lot of Secret Hunter, Arena Priest, and Warrior, then Jade Druid is an excellent deck to be laddering with. If, however, you're encountering Exodia Mages, Odd Paladins, Big Priests, even Shamans, and Cube Warlocks, it may not be the best meta to be climbing Jade Druid with. Some 50-50 matchups or neutral matchups are Mech Hunter, Alneth Mage, Kingsbane Rogue, Odd Rogue, Reno Mage, and Anyfin Paladin. So if we think about the most popular decks right now on the ladder, those would be Kingsbane Rogue, Anyfin Paladin, there's a lot of Mech Hunter going around, Cube Warlock. Jade Druid seems to be in an okay spot. Not an amazing spot, but definitely better than it was before. So we have 3 deck lists that we'd like to share with you, and their deck codes are available in the comments if you want to try them out. The first deck is by Alexevergov 111. He recently hit top 50 with this list, and what makes this list different than your stock Jade Druid is you've got 1 Innovate, which can be excellent if you UI and want to be able to ditch an extra card. It's also good if you just want to be able to do something 1 turn early. It's got the Fandral Staghelm, which a lot of lists have been cutting lately because it's a little bit too slow. Has the Arcane Tyrants, which is a nice inclusion. This is another way of being able to play UI without being scared of milling cards, because if you draw UI to draw to 10, as long as you draw some Arcane Tyrants, you're okay, you can play them for free. Interestingly, this deck is only running 1 Spreading Plague, and this is taking advantage of the fact that the meta isn't too aggressive at the moment. The second list we want to feature is aoierias list. This list was taken to top 100 legend on the Asia server. This is probably the most sensible list of the 3, and this is a very anti-aggro tech list. So you'll notice in this list, you're running Poison Seeds to deal with Big Priests or to deal with even Shamans, Giants, or just Paladins buffing things out of control. And you've also got double Starfall. So a nice combo is you can Poison Seed Starfall for 9 mana and completely clear the board on your opponent's side. Otherwise, it's a pretty standard list, and it's a good one to climb with. And then we have Corbett's list, and this is one of our more spicier, interesting lists. This is a list that Corbett took to the Wild Ladder Challenge number 2, where he made it into the top 8. And he brought a Keleseth list. Now, interestingly, none of these lists are running Wild Growth. The only 2 drops we're seeing are Wrath. So Corbett decided to just remove Wrath, put in Prince Keleseth, and he's running some very interesting tech. He's running a brand Bronzebeard to help against the control matchups. He's running a Mulch as opposed to Innovate. Mulch doesn't make your opponent draw cards, but it does give them a random minion. Usually the random minion isn't going to be very good. Targ Creeper is an excellent anti-aggro tool. Flabidinous Floop can help you get some extra Jades or just do some ridiculous combos when necessary. Jade Spirit's in there, Mire Keeper for ramp. You've got Dr. Boom, Ragnaros the Firelord, and the Lich King. So this is a very anti-control tech list, and it should be noted that Corbett was banning rogues in opponents' lineups with this deck. So even though you've got the Tar Creepers here, you might find yourself in a little bit of trouble if you're queuing into too many Kingsbane rogues. So if you want to go about building your own Jade Druid, these are some cards that Team One Trick believe are core to the deck. Jade Idol obviously is needed, it's the point of Jade Druid. Lesser Jasper Spellstone is just a powerhouse card. It can be 1 mana, deal 2, 4, or 6 damage to a minion, assuming you've upgraded enough armor. Jade Blossom is typically the only ramp tool that Jade Druids are currently using. Branching Paths is a really powerful Druid card. You can either use it to draw cards, buff your board, or gain armor. Very versatile card. Swipe is an excellent board clear for Druid and can also be aimed at your opponent's face for some sneaky lethals. Eye of Blackpaw is incredible value and it's a must-have for the Jade Druid deck, so this is a legendary that you're going to want to have to craft if you don't own it. Jade Behemoth is really powerful stats for the mana cost, and you get the Jade Golem and it has Taunt, just really powerful card. Malfurion the Pestilent is also a Druid staple. This is a legendary that you will need to craft to play the deck. And of course, Ultimate Infestation, one of Druid's most ridiculous spells in Hearthstone. As for recommended cards, if you find you're queuing into a lot of even Shaman, even Warlock, maybe those Anyfin Paladins are getting their Molten Giants out too easily with their High Priest the Khals, you might want to consider putting Naturalize in your list. Wrath is also a card we recommend. Again, it doesn't have to be in the list, but it's a good consideration. It can be used to cycle. It can also be used for removal, which is really good. Ironwood Golem and Oaken Summons are meant to be run together. So basically, you never want to keep Ironwood Golem in your mulligan, and you want to always keep Oaken Summons to, one, pull out the Golem against aggro and thin your deck against control decks. And also with the gaining armor, you've got some synergy with Spellstone. Spreading Plague is also a recommended, which you might think, what? Spreading Plague is insane. If you're in a really control-heavy meta, Spreading Plague is a pretty dead card. Especially if you're in a really, really grindy match. You might find yourself just playing Spreading Plague for the 1/5 just to empty your hand. It's not always necessary to have in your Jade Druid deck. As for tech cards, Jade Druid has a lot of opportunities for tech. So Innovate is a tech card you might want to consider. Prince Keleseth if you want to go the Corbett route and don't have any other 2-drops in your deck. Brand Bronzebeard is a greed card which can help you get some extra Jades, for example. Mulch is a nice alternative to Naturalize if you don't want to be giving your opponent cards. Tar Creeper for anti-aggro. Fandral to help you in the control matchups. Fandral can also be pulled off Oaken Summon, so you want to keep that in mind. Forbiddenous Floop. So this is just a card that can make ridiculous combos, whether it's a combo with Ire, a combo with Lower Theb, Jade Behemoth. The options are endless with this card, just really interesting, but not necessary legendary to have in your deck. Jade Spirit is also a card that has not been making the cut lately, mainly because most decks are running Oaken Summons, and you do not want to run. You do not want to pull your Jade Spirit off Oaken Summons. Mire Keeper is an alternate source for ramp. We highly recommend not running Wild Growth, but if you're really desperate for ramp, Mire Keeper might be a viable option. Poison Seeds is a great card against decks that are trying to buff their board very quickly or cheating out early minions, whether it's an even Shaman playing 4 mana 7/7s and Sea Giants, or a big Priest pulling out a Lich King or a Rag early game. Arcane Tyrant is an anti-control tool just to give you a bigger board and again helps you with the UI plays if you're going to mill yourself. Starfall is also an Starfall is an anti-aggro tool which can be used in combination with Poison Seeds. Nourish, we wouldn't typically recommend too much. It's just a little bit too slow at 6 mana. You'll find if you are running Nourish in your deck, you're typically using it for draw as opposed to gaining mana, but you might want to try it out just to see if you still have a feel for it. And then we've got the Corbett anti-control greedy tech. You could run 1, 2, or all 3 of these if you wanted to. Dr. Boom, Ragnaros the Fire Lord, and the Lich King. Now when it comes to mulliganing in Jade Druid, depending on which of the different lists in this video you've decided to use, Obviously, for the Keleseth build, keep Prince Keleseth. That's a pretty clear one. For the other builds, you want to keep Jade Blossom always. It's your only source. For a lot of the time, it's your only source of ramp, and it gives you a Jade Golem. You also want to keep Oaken Summons if you're running that package, because you want to get that minion out as early as possible. You don't want to have the chance of drawing that minion, kind of similar to drawing patches, where you want to cheat out that minion as fast as possible. Against aggressive decks, you're looking to keep removal. So things like Spellstone, Poison Seeds, Swipe, and Starfall are all excellent for single target or board removal. Tar Creeper can help slow your opponent down. It's a very annoying card for your opponent to have to deal with. And Spreading Plague is excellent to keep against the aggressive decks that are trying to build big boards against you. When it comes to mulliganing against a control deck, again, you may not be running all these cards, but depending on the list that you're running, you're going to be wanting to keep your Naturalize and or Mulches, especially if your even locks are cheating out Mountain Giants on turn 3 and 4. You'll want to keep Mirekeeper for ramp against control. It's a bit too weak to keep Mirekeeper against aggro, so we wouldn't recommend it. Aya is also an incredible tempo push against control. Nourish, if you're running it, you'd want to keep. And Ultimate Infestation is another one you want to keep against control. One of the big goals you're trying to do in the control matchups is get to 10 mana, have your hand at a reasonable size so you can slam down Ultimate Infestation and just get an incredible tempo swing. So we hope you enjoyed our deck building guide from One Trick on Jade Druid today. Again, the deck codes are in the comments and description below. If you like what you see, you can support us with a subscribe to the channel. And if you like, you can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/teamonetrick. So until next time, we hope to see you again.